Welcome to Your Daily Writing Habit, episode number 516. If you are writing a book or thinking about it, or maybe you've started writing a book but you need some help getting it done, you are in the right place. Good morning. Happy Writer Wednesday. I'm your host, Christine Whitmarsh, also known as Christine Inc., like that stuff we write with, especially if you're looking for me online on social media. Each day, I am sharing with you the writing habits I've learned over my 19 years as a ghostwriter, book coach, and author. I have found that three things in particular have a huge impact on your success as an author, and they have the ability to turn a quote-unquote non-author into a published book author. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody introduce themselves as a non-author, so I don't know where I got that. Just occurred to me. Anyway, those three magic things that can do that are writing fundamentals, productivity, and mindset habits. Here's today's quote. When you read to a child, when you put a book in a child's hands, you are bringing that child news of the infinitely varied nature of life. You are an awakener. Paula Fox. And speaking of children's books, kind of, sort of, today I would like to share some lessons with you that I learned recently while ghostwriting a children's book for one of my clients. And I will share on a personal level that this genre of book is really not one prior to this project that I would have considered to be one of my specialty areas. Not like memoirs, for instance, which is totally my specialty area. After all, I think of myself as a kind of blunt and maybe uncensored person. A lot of you probably don't know that because I behave myself here on the show. But if you know me in real life, I kind of have an adult sense of humor. So children's books? Me? Okay, well, I'll confess that I accepted the job. A lot of it was based on my client's urging, just a phenomenal client, really an amazing person. And she felt that based on my prior work that I had done for her, that I was the exact right person to bring to life a story she had been carrying around with her for years. So how could I say no to that, especially the passion aspect of that project? So of course, and I learned that really writing is writing. That was the main lesson. But here are some other specific lessons. And as it turns out, the project helped reinforce for me a few all-purpose writing lessons. Those things that we kind of know in the back of our head that we should be doing in our writing all along. But with children's books, it made me with the children's book that I ghost wrote, it made me a lot more rigorous about these lessons that I identified. So the first one is bad habits. So let's admit that we each have our own bad writing habits. And if we're lucky, we know what most of them are. One of mine I'm completely aware of is run-on sentences, never-ending sentences. Sentences that are just much longer than they really need to be. But one of the main rules in writing children's books is to watch your sentence length. You really have to be very careful about that. Beyond that, you need to match the number of words in the sentence to the age group for your target reader. There's very specific kind of rules around, how long the sentence is that a certain age reader can comprehend. So this is something I had to be really, really super aware of. It was a helpful exercise for me, and I hope it carries over to my writing for adults as well. Because after all, why not spare my readers of all ages from my long, breathless, jam-packed sentences? So this was a great reminder of that writing fundamental about run-on sentences. Number 2, I was reminded of the power of simplicity, of simple language. Mean what you say what you mean, without trying to be fancy for the sake of fancy. That's another thing you have to watch when writing children's books is vocabulary. So it really brought me back to the joys of simplicity of language, and that was a great gift from this project. And finally, number 3, I was reminded of the power of pacing, of a good story pace. In other words, keeping the action moving. This is important for children's books since most kids aren't mentally prepared to stay stuck in exposition or deep thoughts for a few pages. You got to keep that action moving. Also considering that children's books are normally under, like 20,000 words or so you don't really have that long to mess around. You need to get to your point. So why not carry this thinking over to writing for adults? In other words, one of our favorite lessons here, show, don't tell. Keep the action moving. Or as the great Kurt Vonnegut said, every sentence should either reveal something about a character or move the action forward. This project really reinforced these great writing fundamentals, and actually a bunch more beyond this. These are the 3 that I identified for you. Things that as authors, we think we know. But writing this book put those fundamentals to the test for me and made sure that I knew as much as I think I did. Most of all, and a little unexpectedly, I had more fun writing this children's book than I ever, ever, ever would have expected. I mean, I always expect to have fun writing. It's what I do for a living. But this was a really, really special experience, having that lesson reinforced. That writing is writing. Story is story. Characters are characters. Plotline is plotline. Imagination is imagination, even when it's directed toward a different age group. Thank you for joining me here on Your Daily Writing Habit, where I am helping you write and finish writing an awesome book. And please drop by my Inc. Authors group on Facebook to say hello, ask me questions. Great place to connect with me outside of just listening to me here. Inc. Authors on Facebook. Until tomorrow, happy writing.